The Funkasaurus continues his rise. The All-American takes his rightful place. And I didn't figure out a third line for this intro. This is PWS, Phil's Wrestling Show. Woo, woo, woo! You know it. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of PWS Phil's Wrestling Show. I, of course, am the one and the only, thank God, PWS Phil. And this week on the show, I'll be covering, of course, Raw, SmackDown, and Impact from the week. And there'll also be a figure review of Elite 12 Daniel Bryan. And we'll be taking a closer look at some new shirts from PWS Phil's Wrestling Shirts. Let's kick things off with Monday Night Raw review. Okay, so Monday Night Raw from January 16th, 2012. Definitely a big step up from last week's Monday Night Raw. I really liked, the show was pretty good this week. Maybe just one really bad part, of course, and I think we can all figure that one out. Let me go to my notes here, we'll take a look. Mick Foley kicked off the show. Good to see him back. Good to see him in a role a little more important than playing Santa Claus on SmackDown. And I really like that he's putting his bid in for the Raw Rumble. Big names coming back for the Rumble always helps boost things up a little bit. And I enjoy Foley's work anyway, so always good to see Mick. I really thought Dolph knocked it out of the park this week. What a great promo cut on Mick Foley. Really tearing him down. Dolph was really giving it to Mick on the mic. Of course, the old famous line from Ric Flair's book of Mick Foley being a glorified stuntman, that usually gets brought up. And Dolph's really putting himself in a great spot here. I mean, even if he doesn't win the title, it's looking like 2012 will be the year Dolph Ziggler wins a WWE Championship, possibly. He got a brief 10-minute run with the World Heavyweight title, but I think he deserves a real opportunity with the WWE Championship sometime this year. Then, of course, CM Punk came out to somewhat defend Mick Foley. Not that Mick Foley needs defense, but he put it out there that he'd love to face Mick Foley at WrestleMania for the title if everything went that way. Punk's always pretty good on the mic, so this was good. Not quite as impactful as Dolph's promo, but still pretty strong. Of course, John Laurinaitis had to come out and put the kibosh on Mick Foley in the Rumble for now. That started to make me wonder if we're going to see a feud between Mick Foley and John Laurinaitis. Not particularly exciting to hear that right now, but I mean, John Laurinaitis did wrestle for many years, so it's not like he's incapable of having a match. And it would be a great way to get him out there and get some heel heat. Really get some boos going. And Mick Foley doesn't have to worry about keeping up with such a young guy. I mean, at this point, he's got some years on most of the roster, so starting them off with Laurinaitis might be the best way, where they're both older guys. They don't have to be running around like maniacs. And I don't know. I think it might be an interesting feud. And Vicky Guerrero was looking very hot. I specifically wrote that down, so you know she must have been looking good. I didn't really think this had a solid direction at first, with Foley and Dolph, and then Punk coming out. I mean, Punk and Dolph didn't really have too much of an interaction, considering they're facing each other. So I really thought that should have been a little more focused on overall. But it was a pretty good start to the show, a pretty good start. After commercial break, they broke the news on TV that Epico and Primo had become the tag team champions. And I was wondering what the deal was with that, but unfortunately we found out on Tuesday that Evan Bourne has been suspended again on a second violation, this time for 2 months. And I really think he's shooting himself in the foot here, you know what I mean? He finally got a push, a storyline, a strong one too, with Kofi as Sarah Boom. And I don't know. This is not good. I really wouldn't want to see Evan Bourne get fired. I think he has a lot of potential, you know what I mean? We just seen Daniel Bryan win the World Championship, so it's not impossible for you, Evan, to get to the top of the WWE. I mean, all you got to really do is brush up on your mic skills and you're all set. I mean, you're already amazing in the ring, given an opportunity to be amazing. Don't blow it, man. You can make a lot of money and entertain a lot of people with your talents. And I really don't want to see you get fired. So I hope you get everything in line. And I really don't want to see anything like this happen to you again. The match was okay. I'm more concerned with the fact that are there going to be any or enough tag teams to keep the division going with Epico and Primo as champions. I hope they whip together a couple of good guy tag teams so at least these guys can get a couple month run of some substance, you know, and they're not just now they're the champions and they're forgotten. You know, I'd really hate to see that. And I think even though Epico and Primo haven't gotten to show their personalities as much, the lovely Rosa Mendez does keep a lot of eyes on the team, so hoping they have something for Epico and Primo to do and they just don't get forgotten as tag team champions. A quick note though, I really did love Evan's Hurricanrana on Primo, taking him into Epico. I thought that was a really good spot in the match. I really did enjoy that. From there we moved backstage again. David Otunga handed Johnny Laurinaitis an envelope that we would later find out was actually Zack Ryder's medical condition. And of course that would play out later. And also, Otunga brought Jericho in, who was informed he was in a 6-man tag. He, of course, had nothing to say, but he certainly had enough time to turn out the lights and put on the light-up jacket, which was pretty fucking hilarious on my end of things. I was laughing pretty hard at that one. As if Laurinaitis, hadn't seen anything like that before, even though Jericho's done it the last 13 years on WWE TV. But it was pretty hilarious. I enjoyed it. After commercial break, we came back and we got Ryder backstage doing a quick interview with Josh Matthews. Really selling the back injury. I think Ryder did good work here. I mean, he often plays goofiness, but tonight he got a big opportunity to play serious parts in the show. And I thought he did really good. I mean, a guy who really enjoys playing the silly parts and stuff. I thought he really nailed the selling of the injury tonight. And I really think this alliance with Eve is good for both of them. I think it's Eve's best thing as a manager. She's managed R-Truth in the past, and it just didn't come off quite right. But this feels right, where she's not really a defined character. She's more of a normal character. And Zack, even though he's very goofy, is still a pretty normal character too. So it works well. And if it gets Eve up there, I mean, she, for someone who didn't always do wrestling, I always known she has the physical ability to be a good wrestler. But in the last, especially last year, she really finally made it to that top level of wrestlers. I mean, she had some really good matches with Beth Phoenix, and I hope she stays on that trend of really raising her game in wrestling. I think she's the best non-veteran diva the WWE has. Let's see, what else do we have? Of course, we had a Kane and Ryder recap from last week, and I won't often mention just the video package for WWE, just because they're always good. I mean, I couldn't really tell you the last time I seen a bad video recap from WWE. Like I mentioned last week, sometimes they'll go with the over-dramatic music, and that's really the most I could ever bash them for. I mean, when you talk about editing and video packages, WWE is the top. So I won't always mention it, just assume I think they're great. After that, we finally got to the actual match of Jack Swagger versus Ryder for the United States Championship. And I really think this is what, maybe not this particular storyline with Zack Ryder, but, you figure you're going to bring Jack Swagger in and eventually dub him the All-American American. He probably should have won the U.S. title before the World Heavyweight Championship. Seems like a very natural storyline to do, Jack Swagger as the United States Champion. So I'm not completely crushed. Zack Ryder's just starting his ride to the top, so don't freak out, broskies. He'll get it back someday. I really enjoyed as I said earlier, the selling from Zack Ryder was just excellent throughout the night. And this match made him look like a real tough son of a bitch. I took 3 power bombs to put him down, even with the busted up back. So they're definitely letting Ryder get out there as he's a goofball, but he's a tough ass goofball, and I like that. And like I said, Jack Swagger winning the U.S. title is just long overdue. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the new WWE magazine is on sale now, and newsstands everywhere. Then we got another commercial break. This time, Zack Ryder backstage after his United States Championship match. And, of course, this is, during the match is when John Laurinaitis happened to open medical results for Zack Ryder, saying he shouldn't have been in any condition to wrestle. Eve, of course, got pissed, and John Laurinaitis told her to shut her mouth and respect authority, being a true dick that he was. He of course, has been a heel since the start, but hasn't fully done anything outright to be a bad guy. He's just douchey and boring, and we would see this develop through the night into more. Then we got the worst segment of the night in absolute garbage. I'm not even going to go into any details. Perez Hilton and the Bellas versus Kelly and Alicia Fox was just absolutely terrible all around, and I'm not even going to discuss it. After that, they made up for that awful atrocity of life by giving us R-Truth came out for a promo, and he didn't even get a chance to say anything, which is rare because the one and only Wade Barrett came out and had to interrupt him. I really liked Wade's line, R-Truth, if that is your real name. And this was just great work all the way around. This was probably arguably the best segment of the night. It was just constructed well. You had good people on the mic, a good match that followed it. I mean, I really love this part of the show. Wade and R-Truth went back and forth. R-Truth showed some ridiculously photoshopped pictures from his trip to Disneyland. I really enjoyed that silliness. It was very fun. Of course, during their back and forth, Miz came out and attacked R-Truth. And then Wade and Miz were really putting a beat down on R-Truth, which brought out the Great White Sheamus, and who really he could really be this generation's Stone Cold Steve Austin, in that he just got that physical style. I mean, obviously not character-wise. He's not going to be bashing cans and all that stuff, but just the way he wrestles, reminds me a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Teddy Long came out during this 4-way brawl, and of course, I'm sure many other people had to be thinking too that it was time to make this a tag team match, but he actually didn't. He made a fatal 4-way over the top rope match, like a mini rumble, if you will. And I thought it was really a good match. I enjoyed it. R-Truth was definitely a surprise win, but when I went back and thought about it, like I said last week, they are rebuilding Truth. I'm glad to see they're actually making and building new good guys, new faces. I believe I said last week that WWE is really heavy on bad guys and heels. I'm glad to see that they're starting 2012 realizing that and building some faces to go along with that. So on Raw so far we got Brodus and R-Truth pretty much on the rebuild as two good guys, two faces, and I'm definitely glad to see that. I believe there was a commercial break, and then we came back, or they cut backstage to John Laurinaitis and Cena. Cena was pissed that Laurinaitis let Zack Ryder wrestle, which is good. I think generally, overall, at this point, that's all that people really ask. I don't think really anybody thinks Cena... I mean, I know there's people out there that think Cena sucks. I personally don't think at this point that he sucks. But I do agree that he's too mellow, I guess you could say, at times. He doesn't get pissed enough. So I am enjoying this Kane storyline because pissed John Cena is pretty entertaining. And while he doesn't always have to be like that, it's nice to see John Cena get pissed. It really helps his character, helps balance out all those other times he's goofy or just being, despite the fact he got screwed or whatever, he still smiles and doesn't bitch about it. Well, maybe you could bitch about it and punch someone in the face, because it was pretty entertaining tonight. Unfortunately, to appease Cena, John Laurinaitis put him in a match with Jack Swagger, and I thought that was just kind of silly. Swagger already wrestled in the night, so, I mean, I don't know, I just didn't care for that. Like, why just have him get beat up by Cena? It would have made either more sense that Cena just went and found Swagger and beat him up himself, or deny Cena the match with Swagger, and then Cena has no choice but to beat up whoever opponent he has. And that would just show Cena more embracing the hate. He couldn't get the Swagger, he couldn't get the Kane, so he took it out on his opponent who really had done nothing to him. I think that would have been a better way to go with this. And overall, this was just it was still a good segment, him beating up Jack Swagger, because it shows that slowly but surely Kane's getting to him and John Cena is embracing the hate. So overall, like I said, this was really a step up from last week's show, and really good work by Cena in that one. And Jack Swagger is a champ for taking those punches right in the face, because from what I heard, John Cena works pretty stiff anyway, and with the camera that close, you can't be messing around. So I'm sure Jack Swagger got his lumps from Cena, because it certainly looked like it. We got another match this week from Brodus Clay. He looked like he was having fun as the Funkasaurus. And the funny thing about Brodus is that he's bringing guys who haven't been on Raw in months onto Raw. Last week we got a Kurt Hawkins sighting on Raw. Who would think they'd see that anytime soon? And this week we got an appearance by JTG. I enjoyed the short, these are going to be short matches for the time being. I'm sure we won't get anything significant with Brodus as far as storylines go too soon. So I expect the matches are all going to be somewhat like this for a while. I thought it was good for the little bit. He kind of did almost a Goldust type thing, feeling up JTG from the back, and JTG got all freaked out. And then, of course, from there on, it was all Brodus. Just wiped him out with everything. It was good, but it was short. But I think that's all you need for now, until they figure out what he's going to do for a storyline. So, if you don't like the character, I understand, but I don't mind it as long as he's crushing people and it looks like he's enjoying it. I think that's something that always works. Just before the main event, Daniel Bryan did a promo on the entrance ramp, and he was just about there to full heelness. If the promo hadn't been about Big Show running over AJ, then you would have no other choice than to call him a full heel after this promo, but he was really pissed that Big Show ran over his tiny girlfriend, and we'll have to see how it played out on SmackDown against Mark Henry, because that's another monster in a row he's had to defend the championship against, and I'll be interested to see if Big Show gets involved in that match, especially after Brian called him a genetic freak, and not in the good way. So Daniel Bryan, moments away from becoming a complete heel. And I definitely think at this point we're going to be seeing Mark Henry versus Big Show versus Daniel Bryan for the World Championship at the Royal Rumble, the way things are going. And speaking of the main event, the internet wrestling community got the wet dream tag team of all time, or at least that was how it was set up. Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Jericho, had this been an actual tag team match, would have probably blown up the internet with those three on one team. And they faced the team of Mark Henry, Dolph Ziggler, and David Otunga, who was lucky to be in there with 5 people of that caliber, personally. Like I said, I do like David Otunga, but he definitely needs to step it up on the wrestling side of things. The match started off pretty normally. Jericho, of course, went nuts before the match, still running around slapping hands. And when he finally got a hot tag from CM Punk, we got literally nothing from him. He jumped in the ring, cheered some more, and hit the bricks. He didn't even touch the A-list lawyer, David Otunga. Otunga was down on the ground. He could have done anything, a lion salt, the old Jericho pin with the 1 foot. Could have done any of that. Didn't do any of it. Did the point to the crowd, hit the bricks. So, I don't know if the character, I was thinking the character is that he so loves the adulation from the fans that he never wants this to end. He'll just it's every week, it's like he just came back. So until we see his true intentions, I'm thinking that's what the character is going to be like. He just loves hearing the cheers, and then he's gone. Cheers, gone. It was a match full of shenanigans. I mean, Jericho left. Eventually, Daniel Bryan and Mark Henry got into a fight. They fought backstage. They left. Mick Foley came out to help CM Punk, because at that point, both his partners had left. Like I said, there was enough of a match to say it was a match, but there's also enough shenanigans where you could argue that this was more of a storyline than a match. Let's see, what happened there? Mick Foley ends up winning the match on David Otunga. Mick Foley claimed that John Laurinaitis had given him full authority to go out there and add into the match, which of course brought out Johnny Ace after the match, saying that in no way did he give Foley the authority to go out there and take Jericho's spot. And this is when Punk chose to just absolutely tear down John Laurinaitis in every way. At this point, the only thing they haven't really mentioned is that John Laurinaitis did have some pretty good matches in Japan, but Punk pretty much tore him down on every other level in this promo. And Laurinaitis was doing a pretty good job of looking very uncomfortable, taking all this attacks straight to his face. So after Punk hit the bricks, I thought they were going to wrap the show, but Laurinaitis stayed in the ring with Mick Foley. And Mick Foley wanted to know right there and then if John Laurinaitis was going to screw Punk at the Royal Rumble against Dolph Ziggler. And Laurinaitis finally caved and went full heel. We finally got it. And he said he was absolutely going to screw CM Punk out of the title at the Royal Rumble. So if they're really trying to build a Vince and Austin type atmosphere, they're pretty close. I think Laurinaitis is going to have to turn up stacking the odds on Punk in the next couple weeks just to give it a little more credibility to Laurinaitis being able to screw Punk. Because Punk has said he's going to beat Laurinaitis' ass if he screws him, and Laurinaitis says, I don't give a shit, I'm still going to screw you anyway. So I really think Laurinaitis has to get some advantage on Punk in the couple of weeks coming to the Rumble, just to get people to watch the pay-per-view and see, is Dolph Ziggler going to be crowned the new champion at the hands of John Laurinaitis? That would be a really good one. And a little more on the Foley and John Laurinaitis feud. Laurinaitis ended up smashing Mick Foley in the head with a microphone, and that really got me thinking that maybe not right away at Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, but at WrestleMania, I'm thinking we might actually get Laurinaitis versus Foley, and the winner will be the permanent Raw GM. And I think right now would be an excellent time to bring Mick Foley back as the general manager. I mean, it's been a good, got to be 12 years since he was actually the general manager on Raw, and arguably up there with probably the top general manager, right up there with William Regal as one of the most entertaining general managers. And of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Eric Bischoff was also another good era. But I think now is the time to do, lead up to WrestleMania. Laurinaitis versus Foley, winner becomes GM. I think it would give Laurinaitis, I'm sure he, in all the time he spent in WWE, I'm sure he's wanted to have a match at WrestleMania. And I think this would be an excellent opportunity to let him have a WrestleMania match. And to also let Mick Foley get a motherfucking win at WrestleMania. Jesus Christ. Can Mick Foley get a win? I mean, I know not everybody gives a shit about wins and losses. I personally don't think wins and losses fully matter. It's a good match and a good story. But some people just deserve to have a moment like that at WrestleMania. I mean, Mick Foley hasn't had a win at WrestleMania, I believe, since WrestleMania 14 against Terry Funk or with Terry Funk against the New Age Outlaws. You know what I mean? So he never, in all those matches, big matches he's had at WrestleMania, he's never got a victory out of it, a true victory. Let him beat the hell out of Johnny Ace at WrestleMania. New GM. Gotta help the ratings. I just think it'll be a good story all the way around. So, definitely a big step up from last week's Raw. Like I said, WWE and Raw are my favorite promotion and show, and they really knocked it out of the park this week. I really enjoyed it. When we come back, Impact Review.